Tesla's CEO Elon Musk is facing a potential nightmare as government agencies worldwide are considering massive sanctions that could cost his company over $2 trillion as sanctions. The Securities and Exchange Commission has been investigating Tesla's business practices, and now other countries might join in with their own penalties. This storm of legal troubles threatens to shake Tesla to its core, leaving Musk scrambling to protect the electric car giant he built from scratch. What exactly did Tesla do to attract this much attention, and can Musk find a way out before it's too late? SEC's attempt to sanction Elon Musk. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC for short, has been trying to take action against Elon Musk, the famous billionaire who runs Tesla and SpaceX. The SEC is like a watchdog that makes sure companies and their leaders follow the rules when it comes to money, stocks, and telling the truth to investors. It all started a few years ago when Musk posted on social media about taking Tesla private at $420 per share. The SEC thought this post was misleading to people who own Tesla stock. They believed Musk didn't actually have the money lined up to do this, but his post made Tesla's stock price jump up anyway. The SEC and Musk eventually made a deal. Musk had to step down as Tesla's chairman, though he stayed as CEO, pay a $20 million fine, and have someone at Tesla check his posts about the company before he shared them online. But the problems didn't end there. The SEC claims Musk hasn't been following the rules they agreed on. They say he's still posting important information about Tesla without getting approval first. That's why they're now trying to sanction him again. These sanctions could be a huge problem for both Musk and Tesla. If the SEC gets its way, they might try to fine Musk and Tesla an enormous amount of money. Some reports suggest figures that could reach into the trillions of dollars. While $2 trillion might be an exaggeration, even sanctions in the billions would be devastating. To understand how big this is, Tesla's entire company is worth around $600 billion. If they had to pay even a fraction of these rumored sanctions, it could bankrupt the company. Tesla would have to sell off factories, fire workers, and might even have to stop making cars altogether. For Musk personally, these sanctions could limit his ability to run companies in the future. The SEC might try to ban him from being a CEO or director of any public company. This would mean he couldn't lead Tesla anymore, which would be a huge blow since he's the face of the company and makes many of the big decisions. The SEC is also looking at other things Musk has done, like how he bought Twitter, now called X, and some of his statements about Tesla's self-driving technology. They're concerned that he might be misleading investors again. Musk and his lawyers are fighting back hard. They say the SEC is targeting Musk unfairly and trying to limit his free speech. They argue that Musk's tweets and statements are just his opinions and shouldn't be regulated so strictly. This battle between Musk and the SEC matters because it could change how Tesla operates. If Musk is restricted or removed from Tesla, the company might struggle without his vision and leadership. The electric car revolution that Tesla helped start might slow down. It also raises questions about how much power company leaders should have on social media, and how closely the government should watch what they say. As this situation continues to unfold, both Tesla fans and critics are watching closely to see what happens next. Tesla's operations in China and national security concerns. Tesla's journey in China started out pretty exciting. Back in 2019, they built a huge factory in Shanghai, their first big plant outside the United States. This was a big deal because China is the world's largest market for electric cars, and Tesla wanted to be right in the middle of all that action. The Shanghai factory was impressive. It could make hundreds of thousands of cars each year, and it helped Tesla sell a lot more vehicles in China. By 2023, about 1 out of every 5 Tesla cars was sold in China, making it super important for the company's success. But having a business in China isn't always smooth sailing. The Chinese government keeps a close eye on foreign companies, especially ones dealing with technology. They have strict rules about data security and how information is stored and shared. This created some tricky situations for Tesla. You see, Tesla's cars aren't just vehicles, they're like computers on wheels. They have cameras all around them and collect tons of information about where they go, how they're driven, and what's happening around them. This data helps make the cars better and safer, but it also raised some eyebrows. Some people in the US government started worrying. What if Tesla's cameras were capturing sensitive information near military bases or government buildings in China? What if the Chinese government demanded Tesla hand over this this data. These concerns made relations between Tesla and both governments complicated. In 2021, the Chinese military actually banned Tesla vehicles from entering their facilities. They were worried the car's cameras and sensors might be recording secret information. Elon Musk had to publicly promise that Tesla would never use its technology for spying, and the company had to build special data centers in China to keep Chinese customer information inside the country. Meanwhile, back in America, some politicians and security experts questioned whether Tesla was getting too cozy with China. They worried that Elon Musk might feel pressured to please the Chinese government to protect Tesla's business there. The situation got even more complicated because Tesla relies on Chinese companies for many of the parts that go into their batteries. This made some people nervous about depending too much on China for such important technology. Tesla tried to walk a fine line between following China's rules and keeping the US government happy. They created separate computer systems for their Chinese operations and promised that data from Chinese customers would stay in China. Despite these efforts, Tesla's relationship with China has had its ups and downs. Sometimes the Chinese government would praise Tesla as an example of successful foreign business. Other times, they would criticize the company for quality problems or safety concerns. All these challenges show how difficult it can be for big tech companies to operate in both the United States and China, especially when the two countries don't always get along. For Tesla, balancing business opportunities in China with security concerns at home remains a constant juggling act that affects how the company makes decisions and plans for the future. Circumventing sanctions on Russia. After Russia invaded Ukraine, many countries put strict rules in place called sanctions. These sanctions were meant to stop Russia from getting money and technology that could help them in the war. Companies around the world were told they couldn't do business with Russia anymore. Some people have accused Elon Musk and his companies, Tesla and SpaceX, of finding ways around these sanctions. This is a serious claim because breaking sanctions is against the law and could help Russia continue its attacks on Ukraine. One of the main concerns involves Starlink, which is SpaceX's satellite internet service. There were reports that Russian soldiers were using Starlink on the battlefield, even though Musk said he wasn't selling the service to Russia. Ukrainian officials found Starlink terminals being used by Russian troops, which raised questions about how they got there. Another issue is that some Tesla parts and technology might have made their way to Russia through other countries. This is called re-exporting, and it happens when products are first sent to a friendly country and then secretly shipped to Russia. Countries like Kazakhstan, Armenia, and China have been mentioned as possible middlemen in these deals. The accusations have damaged Musk's reputation with many world leaders. Some governments started looking more closely at all of Musk's business deals. This extra attention led to investigations in several countries about whether Tesla and SpaceX were following the sanctions rules. For Ukraine, this situation has been especially upsetting. They've been fighting for their survival, and they feel betrayed by the possibility that an American businessman might be helping their enemy. Ukrainian officials have spoken out, asking for stricter enforcement of sanctions. The financial impact on Musk's companies has been huge. As governments began investigating these claims, Tesla's stock price dropped dramatically. Investors got nervous about possible fines and penalties that could reach into the trillions of dollars if Tesla was found guilty of breaking sanctions on a large scale. While the actual amount might not reach $2 trillion, even smaller penalties could seriously hurt the company. Musk has denied all these accusations, saying that neither he nor his companies have deliberately broken any sanctions. He's claimed that any Starlink terminals in Russian hands were likely stolen or bought through third parties without his knowledge or approval. The situation has created a complicated mess for international relations. The United States government has had to balance its support for Ukraine with its relationship with one of America's most famous business leaders. Other countries have had to decide how seriously to take these accusations and whether to join in the investigations. For regular people watching this unfold, it shows how global conflicts can affect businesses and how the actions of powerful individuals can have consequences that reach far beyond their companies. The story continues to develop as more information comes to light about what really happened and who should be held responsible. And now, governments worldwide are stepping in, turning up the pressure on Tesla like never before. Global government actions against Tesla. Tesla, once the darling of the electric car world, now faces serious trouble from governments around the globe. Countries are fighting back against the company with rules, fines, and restrictions that could cost Tesla billions of dollars. It all started when the United Kingdom took action first. The UK government slapped a 25% tariff on all Tesla vehicles entering the country. This meant that a Model 3 that used to cost £40,000 suddenly jumped to £50,000 overnight. British officials claimed Tesla wasn't following proper manufacturing standards and accused the company of using parts from countries they shouldn't be trading with. Canada quickly followed with even tougher measures. The Canadian government completely banned the sale of new Tesla vehicles for 6 months while they investigated claims that the company's self-driving features weren't safe for Canadian roads. They also hit Tesla with a $500 million fine for what they called misleading advertising about their car's capabilities. The European Union took the strongest stance of all. The EU created a special tax on Tesla's operations that some people are calling the Musk tax. This tax forces Tesla to pay an extra 10% on all revenue earned in European countries. Germany, France, and Spain also joined forces to limit Tesla's access to charging networks unless the company shared its charging technology with other car makers. In Sweden, the government ordered Tesla to recognize labor unions after workers went on strike. When Tesla refused, Sweden blocked the company from opening any new stores or service centers in the country. Australia imposed strict data privacy rules that specifically targeted Tesla's practice of collecting driving data from its vehicles. The Australian government demanded that Tesla stop gathering this information or face daily fines of $100,000. Japan and South Korea both raised safety concerns about Tesla batteries and required expensive new certification processes that only apply to Tesla vehicles, not other electric cars. Even in China, where Tesla has a massive factory in Shanghai, the government restricted the company's ability to expand unless it shared more technology with Chinese partners. Together, these actions from governments worldwide could cost Tesla up to $2 trillion in lost sales, fines, and increased operating costs over the next decade. Some financial experts say this amount might be exaggerated, but everyone agrees the impact will be huge. Elon Musk has responded angrily on social media, calling these measures unfair attacks and politically motivated. He claims governments are protecting their own car industries by targeting Tesla unfairly. The company has already seen its stock price drop by 30% since these government actions began. Tesla has started laying off workers at several factories and has paused plans to build new manufacturing plants in several countries. Many Tesla supporters believe these government actions are connected to Musk's controversial statements about politics and his business dealings in Russia. Critics say Tesla is simply being held to the same standards as other car companies after years of special treatment. What's clear is that Tesla's days of operating with minimal government oversight appear to be over, and the road ahead looks increasingly difficult for the electric car pioneer. But the challenges weren't just coming from boardrooms. The public was making its voice heard loud and clear. Public protests and reactions. As news of the government sanctions spread, Tesla fans and critics took to the streets in numbers. Outside Tesla's Berlin factory, over 5,000 protesters gathered, waving signs that read, "Hands off our jobs" and "Fair rules for all companies." The peaceful demonstration turned ugly when a small group broke away, spray painting "Musk Go Home" on the factory walls and smashing windows at the visitor center. In London, the scene was even more chaotic. Hundreds of angry Tesla owners blocked traffic around Parliament Square, parking their Model 3s and Model Ys in a massive circle. They demanded the UK government remove the new tariffs, arguing they had purchased their cars with the understanding that software updates and parts would remain affordable. Social media fueled much of the outrage. Videos of Tesla owners using sledgehammers on their own cars went viral, with one clip from Toronto showing a man smashing his Model X's windshield while shouting, "This is what your ban did, Canada." The video got over 12 million views in just 2 days. Not all protests were against the governments, though. In Stockholm, thousands marched in support of the Swedish workers' unions, carrying signs thanking their government for standing up to Tesla. Union members handed out flyers explaining why they believe Tesla workers deserved better treatment. The situation in Shanghai took a different turn. Chinese Tesla owners, worried about the government restrictions, formed long lines at service centers, demanding demanding immediate repairs before any part shortages could begin. When one center couldn't handle the crowd, people refused to leave, camping overnight in the parking lot. In Australia, environmental groups organized beach cleanups in support of the data privacy rules. They built a 20-foot sculpture of a Tesla car made entirely from plastic waste, with a sign reading "Data Collection Pollution." The most shocking incident happened in Amsterdam, where vandals broke into a Tesla charging station and damaged 28 superchargers. They left behind graffiti connecting their actions to the EU's Musk tax. Police estimated the damage at over 200,000 euros. Tesla stores became targets too. In Seoul, protesters blocked entrances to showrooms, turning away potential customers. In Paris, someone released 3 live chickens inside a Tesla store with notes attached to their legs, reading "Stop playing chicken with worker safety." Online, the Number Tesla Exodus hashtag trended worldwide as owners posted videos of themselves switching to other electric car brands. Meanwhile, Number Stand with Tesla rallies formed in several American cities, with supporters arguing that foreign governments were unfairly targeting an American success story. Tesla's own employees joined the public reaction. In Fremont, California, workers held a rally supporting their international colleagues. However, in the UK factory, employees staged a walkout when managers announced potential layoffs due to the tariffs. The protest showed no signs of slowing down. News channels broadcast daily updates of demonstrations spreading to more cities, while Tesla scrambled to manage both the government sanctions and the growing public relations crisis that threatened to permanently damage the company's once sterling reputation. Elon Musk's influence in government. Elon Musk wasn't about to let Tesla sink without a fight. With his company facing massive sanctions, he turned to something he had been building for years: his connections in government. Over time, Musk had carefully created relationships with politicians and officials across many countries. He donated to campaigns, attended fancy dinners with lawmakers, and even served on government advisory boards. Now, he needed these connections more than ever. First, Musk started making phone calls to senators and representatives he knew. He explained how the sanctions would not just hurt Tesla, but would cost thousands of American jobs. He reminded them how Tesla factories brought money to their states and communities. Then, Musk took to social media, where he had millions of followers. He posted about how the sanctions were unfair and would set back clean energy progress by years. His fans quickly spread his message, putting pressure on elected officials to reconsider. Behind the scenes, Musk hired a team of lobbyists, people whose job is to convince government officials to make certain decisions. These lobbyists went to Washington, D.C. and state capitals, armed with facts and figures about Tesla's importance to the economy. Musk also reached out to his friends in other countries. He spoke with leaders in China, where Tesla had a huge factory, and in European nations where many Teslas were sold. He hoped these international allies might speak up against the sanctions. One of Musk's boldest moves was offering to work with the government on new projects. He suggested Tesla could help build charging stations across America or develop special vehicles for the military. By making himself useful to the government, he hoped they might ease up on the sanctions. Some people criticized Musk for trying to use his power this way. They said rich business owners shouldn't have special access to government officials. Others defended him, saying he was just trying to save his company and the jobs it provided. The situation showed how the line between business and government can get blurry. When big companies face trouble, their owners often turn to political connections for help. For Musk, this wasn't just about money, it was about his vision for the future. He truly believed electric cars were important for fighting climate change, and he saw the sanctions as a threat to that mission, and he strived as much as he could till his efforts started showing some results. A few politicians began questioning whether the sanctions were too harsh. News shows debated whether punishing Tesla was the right move. The public conversation was shifting exactly as Musk had hoped. Whether Musk would succeed in getting the sanctions reduced remained uncertain. The government had its reasons for the penalties, and changing course wouldn't be easy. But if anyone could pull off such a dramatic turnaround, it might be Elon Musk, a businessman who had built his career on doing what others thought impossible. The battle between Tesla and the government highlighted a bigger question: how much influence should wealthy business leaders have over the rules that govern them? As Musk fought to save his company, this question became more important than ever.